president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, "Sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel." Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel. And when Mr. Renato had recounted this story to me, he had motioned towards his clavicles.
Both of these men say they don't remember this conversation happening. How can you explain that?
I know what I recall. In this particular instance, I can't climb inside the minds of Tony Renato and Bobby Engel. Maybe they truly don't recall this happening.
Here we go again with this Cassidy Hutchinson again. Here we go again. And I wonder why we're hearing from her at this point in time. Before we dive into this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you guys could please share so we can get the word out. I wonder why we're hearing from her right now. We'll get into that in 1 second. But it's kind of funny. These people that she said that told her that this happened, where Trump is in the back of a limo. If you guys have ever been in any kind of limo, he's in the back of the limo. Not only is he choking Secret Service, you think Secret Service is going to get choked by anybody, let alone Trump or Biden or any of these politicians, anybody. So first off, he's choking Secret Service, and then he's reaching up for the steering wheel in the back seat of a limo.
Who wouldn't dispute it? She's the craziest account I've ever heard. You mean that I was in the Beast? And she said, I was in the Beast, and the Secret Service didn't win. So I took a guy who was like a black belt in karate and grabbed his neck and tried to choke him.
What happened?
How ridiculous.
And you hear him right there, choking people out, reaching. It is absolutely ridiculous. But it's kind of interesting that these two individuals don't recall this ever happening. But she recalls hearing it. She's going to stick firm with her testimony. What's that all about now? And it goes even a little bit deeper. I was surprised the interviewer, interviewee, right? No, the interviewer is the person asking the question. Look at what she asked her.
You admit in the book, you've admitted here that you told less than the truth, that you lied. Why should we believe you now?
Because what would I have to gain by coming forward? You know, it would have been easier for me to continue being complicit.
Up, and there's the spoiler. She has a book coming out. That's why you're hearing from this individual. But you hear right there, the interviewer asked her, so you were lying. You admitted you were lying in the book. Why should we believe you now? And then she has the same little generic response. That's kind of interesting. So now we're hearing from you because you're having a book come out. And mind you, earlier in the interview, something, pretty lengthy interview, she goes and talk about she's been in hiding. She had to leave Washington, D.C., and she moved to Atlanta because what do you think's going to happen? All these cameras on you, accusing the president of the United States to basically be Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four, where he's wrapping around the neck and choking this guy out and turning the steering wheel. It's absolutely real. So of course people are going to see like, hey, there's the girl that thinks the president is a damn mutant. Of course people are going to recognize you, and it's going to be hard to be out in public. You knew that before you even took the stand and put your hand up under oath, mind you. This is what she did, and said all this stuff happened. So that's very interesting how this all ends up turning out with this individual.
And she lied.
So not only does she have that ridiculous story, now she's coming after Rudy Giuliani. Man, the way they treat Rudy now is completely out of line. He was America's mayor. They loved Rudy Giuliani, but all because he represented, likes, and backs Donald Trump, President Trump. Look at the way that they treat him now. And she goes into this story that on January 6th, the Pearl Harbor Day that we keep hearing about, nice and cold out, that he reached into her blouse, into her shirt, and felt up underneath her skirt, and his eyes were whited over and glazed and smirking at her, and the John Eastman was there and had a nice grin on his face.
This is what she said. I feel his frozen fingers trail up my thigh, she writes. He tilts his chin up. The whites of his eyes look jaundiced. Yeah. My eyes dart to Trump's advisor, John Eastman, who flashes a leering grin. Aren't they charming? And aren't they a delightful group of people?
His hand slips under my blazer, then my skirt. That is an unwanted touching, which is an assault under criminal law.
So now this is where we're going. So first of all, we had the limo and all this stuff. Now we're going to Rudy Giuliani now. And it's very interesting that all this stuff coincides with the release of a book. Don't you guys ever notice that? It was the same thing with the Michael Cohen, man. You remember him? All the convicted perjurer, but hey, you know, Trump did this stuff and all this stuff with these checks, and that's going to go nowhere. That's just complete BS. You know, they don't talk about that anymore, right? But Michael Cohen, oh, he came out with all this stuff at the same time he's releasing a book titled Revenge. Oh, so he's really objective. He's really going to tell it straight, isn't he? But back to this Cassidy. So here you go. So all this stuff, the two secret agents and all that, Secret Service don't recall this ever happening, but she's going to stand firm by her story. Then she admits to lying in the book that she's releasing, then comes out with this allegation, right? We got to say allegedly, this allegation against the great Rudy Giuliani. So you guys tell me, maybe I'm just not seeing it clearly, but you have this story that they're saying they don't recall. You admit to lying in the book. Now all of a sudden, why didn't you testify and say what happened with Rudy back on the January 6th committee? Wouldn't that have been really valuable information? How you were out there and Rudy felt you up and all this stuff in front of everybody, right? There's thousands and thousands of people there. Even if they were under a tent or whatever, I'm sure there's at least 20, 30, 40 people there, right? So Rudy did this in front of everybody? He didn't even take you to the department store changing room, right? Like the E. Jean Carroll lady, right? There's a whole bunch of people in the department store, but Trump takes her in the dressing room and just takes it from her, and she didn't say anything. She didn't yell or whatever, right? So this is the same scenario. Rudy did this in front of all the... So you guys tell me, maybe, you know, if I was a detective or whatever, I would just kind of raise my eyebrow a little bit at all this stuff that this person's saying that she said under oath with that hand up. So this really needs to be looked into. It'll be interesting. I want to read this book and see how she accounts all this stuff that happened supposedly, allegedly. Tell me what you guys feel about this whole scenario. If you guys believe her, if you guys think that she's full of what makes the grass go green in Texas.
Bullshit.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you guys could please share so we can get it out there. And I will catch you guys on the next one.